Bowflex Max Total 16 Assembly Video. In this video, we will show you how to install the Max Total 16 fitness machine. Begin by selecting an area where you are going to set up and operate your Max Total machine. For safe operation, the machine must be located on a hard, level surface. Please allow a minimum work area of 78.5 inches and 97.3 inches. Be sure that the workout space you choose has adequate height clearance, taking into consideration the height of the user and maximum pedal height of the fitness machine. Before you begin the assembly, please make sure you read the assembly manual thoroughly, as it contains important safety warnings and assembly tips. Please note, there are some steps in the assembly process that might require two people to help with the assembly. Some components of the machine can be heavy or unwieldy. Please use a second person when doing assembly involving these parts. Start the assembly by checking the parts list. There are two boxes included with your assembly. A right R and a left L have been applied to the parts to assist with assembly. The following tools are required for assembly. The following wrenches are included with your assembly: a number 2 screwdriver, 4mm, 5mm, 6mm, and 8mm Allen wrench, as well as a 13mm double box end wrench. Step 1. Attaching the rail assembly. It is recommended that someone assist you with this step. Begin step 1 by attaching the rail assembly, part number 18, to the back side of the frame, part number 1. Slowly push the rail assembly towards the frame and match the top holes as shown. Next, using 4 part A screws, 4 part B lock washers, and 4 part C washers, secure the rail assembly to the frame. Place the part C washer first, followed by the B flat washer and part A screws. Only hand tighten the hardware at this time, as you will need to fully tighten the hardware at a later step. Finally, using the provided 13mm double box wrench, release the frame from the shipping plate by removing the hardware located on each side of the frame. Repeat these steps for the opposite side and remove the hardware on both sides of the frame. Step 1 is now complete. Step 2. Attaching the levelers to the stabilizer assembly. Begin step 2 by locating stabilizer assembly, part number 14. Next, locate 1 part 16 leveler and attach it onto the stabilizer assembly. Insert the leveler as shown, and rotate the leveler clockwise to fully tighten. Repeat these steps and fully tighten all 4 levelers. The levelers might require adjustment to level the machine. Make sure to follow the instructions in the assembly manual when leveling the machine. Step 2 is now complete. Step 3. Attaching the frame assembly to the stabilizer assembly. It is recommended that someone assist you with this step. Begin step 3 by carefully lifting the frame assembly from the shipping plate. Place the shipping plate aside and place the frame on top of the stabilizer assembly, part number 14. Slowly set the frame in place, matching the frame holes to the holes in the top of the stabilizer assembly. Next, secure the stabilizer using 4 part D screws and 4 part E washers. Hand tighten the screws for now. After all hardware has been hand tightened, proceed by fully tightening all hardware from previous steps. You will require the provided 6mm Allen wrench to fully tighten the 4 part A screws that were previously used on step 1. Fully tighten all hardware. Finally, fully tighten the bottom hardware using the provided 8mm Allen wrench. Step 3 is now complete. Step 4. Attaching the stabilizer shrouds to the frame assembly. Begin Step 4 by placing the left stabilizer shroud at the bottom near the front of the frame assembly. Part number 12 is the left stabilizer shroud, and part number 13 is the right stabilizer shroud. A right R and a left L have been applied to the parts to assist with assembly. Snap the stabilizer shroud into place as shown. Repeat these same steps for the opposite side and attach the right shroud, part number 13. Slowly snap the stabilizer shroud into place as shown. Step 4 is now complete. Step 5. Attaching the rear shroud and caps. Begin Step 5 by attaching the rear shroud, part number 2, onto the frame assembly. To attach the rear shroud, place the inside hook of the rear shroud on the frame assembly and then pivot it up into place. Secure the shroud using one part F screw. Place the screw on the top hole as shown and tighten the screw using the number 2 Phillips screwdriver. Next, attach two part number 17 caps on each side of the frame assembly. Gently push the cap into position. Repeat these steps for the opposite side. Step 5 is now complete. Step 6. Attaching the legs to the frame assembly. Be aware that the legs are connected, and when either of the legs move, the other does as well. Begin Step 6 by placing one part I wave washer on the top post. Next, push the part 11 leg onto the top post and place the bottom part of the leg onto the rail assembly. Secure the leg to the frame assembly by using one part A screw, one part B lock washer, and one part G washer. Fully tighten the screw by using the provided 6mm Allen wrench. Finally, cover the hardware using one part H cap. Push the cap into position. Repeat these same steps for the opposite side. Once both legs have been tightly secured, Step 6 is now complete. Step 7. Attaching the pedals. Begin Step 7 by placing one foot pedal, part number 15, onto the left leg assembly. Slowly insert the tube ends of the pedal onto the leg assembly. Be careful to avoid fingers and hands being caught or pinched. Secure the pedal by using two part J screws with two part C washers on one side and two part C washers with two part K lock nuts on the other side. Fully tighten the lock nuts using the provided 13mm double box wrench tool, and tighten the screws by using the provided 6mm Allen wrench. Repeat these steps for the opposite side and attach the second pedal to the right leg frame assembly. Step 7 is now complete. Step 8. Attaching the foot platforms. Begin Step 8 by locating one part 4 foot pad. Before placing the foot pad onto one of these pedals, use a pair of scissors and cut the plastic zip ties from the pads. Remove the zip ties and separate the foot pad insert, part number 3, from the foot pad. Gently lower the foot platform onto the pedal. Next, insert one foot pad onto the foot platform. Gently lower the foot pad and insert it into place. Next, secure the foot pad using 4 part L screws. Insert the screws through the foot pad and through the pedal. Fully tighten all screws using the provided 4mm Allen wrench. Repeat these steps for the opposite side and secure the second foot platform and pad. Step 8 is now complete. Step 9. Attaching the static handlebar assembly. Begin Step 9 by cutting the shipping zip tie that secures the cables inside the top frame assembly. Do not let the cables drop into the frame assembly, and take care not to cut or crimp the console cables. Before attaching the static handlebar, connect the static handlebar assembly cables with the frame assembly cables. Make sure all cables are correctly connected and latched securely together. Next, place and hold the static handlebar assembly, part number 9, on top of the frame assembly. Slowly insert the static handlebar assembly into the frame assembly without crimping the cables. Next, secure the static handlebar assembly using 4 part M screws, 4 part N lock washers, and 4 part O flat washers. Insert 2 sets of hardware through the front and hand tighten the hardware for now. Repeat these steps for the opposite side. After all hardware has been hand tightened, fully tighten the hardware using the provided 5mm Allen wrench. Make sure to fully tighten the hardware on both sides. Finally, locate the tray insert, part 22, and place it on the static handlebar assembly. Slowly lower and insert the tray into place. Step 9 is now complete. Step 10. Attaching the console assembly. Begin Step 10 by locating the console assembly, part 6. Next, locate and remove the console rear cover from the console assembly. Using the number 2 Phillips screwdriver, remove the hardware. Set the screws and washers aside for now. Next, place the console onto the static handlebar and connect the console assembly cables with the frame assembly cables. Each cable connector, 3-pin, 4-pin, 5-pin, and 12-pin, has a corresponding end connector with that many openings. Connect the static handlebar assembly cables with the frame assembly cables. Make sure all cables are correctly connected and latched securely together. After attaching all cables, pivot the console assembly downwards to secure it to the static handlebar assembly. Do not cut or crimp the cables. Secure the console assembly to the static handlebar using the previously loosened hardware found in the console assembly at the beginning of the step. Tighten the hardware using the number 2 Phillips screwdriver. Take care not to over-tighten the screws. Next, reattach the console rear cover, part number 7, to the back of the console assembly. Gently push the cover into place. Finally, attach the static handlebar cap, part number 8, to the top of the static handlebar assembly. Gently push the cap into place. Step 10 is now complete. Step 11. Attaching the upper handlebars. It is recommended that someone assists you with this step. Begin Step 11 by locating the left dynamic handlebar, part number 10, and placing it on the left side of the frame assembly. A right R and a left L have been applied to the parts to assist with assembly. Be aware that the pedals and the upper handlebars are connected, and when either of these parts move, the other does as well. Secure the dynamic handlebar using 3 part P screws and 3 part N lock washers. Push and hold the handlebar into place. Hand tighten the hardware and then tighten securely using the provided 5mm Allen wrench. Repeat these steps on the opposite side and attach the right dynamic handlebar, part number 19, onto the frame assembly. Make sure the upper handlebars were attached so that they are in the range of operation for the user. Step 11 is now complete. Step 12. Connecting the AC power adapter. Begin step 12 by placing the AC adapter, part number 21, to the front near the bottom of the frame assembly. First, connect the power adapter to the plug on the front base of the machine. Press firmly on the adapter until it snaps into place. Next, connect the power cord to the AC adapter and to the wall outlet. Make sure that the power adapter wire stays clear of all moving parts. Congratulations! You have now completed the assembly of the Max Total 16. Before using the machine, please make a final inspection. You can now remove any protective covers from the face of the console, as well as the plastic scratch guard strips from the rails. Please inspect the machine to ensure that all fasteners are tight and components are properly assembled. Do not use until the machine has been fully assembled and inspected for correct performance in accordance with the assembly manual. Please reference the assembly manual for workouts, troubleshooting, and other program features. Enjoy your new Max Total 16 fitness machine. Brought to you by Bowflex.